Welcome back to A Take on the Academy, the show where we love the Oscars enough to give them a little tough love. I'm your host, Matt Sprosty, coming to you on one of my favorite days of the year, Oscar Nomination Day, when Hollywood collectively holds its breath, celebrates, stresses, refreshes the X way too many. It says refreshes X, refreshes Twitter way too many times, and starts immediately arguing. Today, I'm extra excited because I'm joined by someone 2 years in a row who not only understands filmmaking from the inside out, but also from the ground up. Cleveland's own powerhouse, location manager Michael Wendt. If you've watched a major film shoot in Northeast Ohio over the past decade, chances are Mike had a hand in making it happen, from scouting and securing locations to navigating the wild logistics that most people never think about when they're watching a scene on screen. So Mike's here to break down this year's Oscar nominations with me, who surprised us, who got snubbed, what it means for the industry, and what it all looks like from the perspective of someone who brings movies to life in the real world. So settle in, because today we're talking awards, artistry, and behind the scenes magic that gets those nominees onto the screen. But Mike, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm looking forward to this. Last year was a lot of fun, and so I've been looking forward to today. And Oscar nomination day for me sometimes is better than the actual ceremony.
And last year was like, it was one of those things where, when we were talking, because last year was Amelia Perez, right? And like,
Oh, yeah.
so like that comes out, you have to talk about Amelia Perez, and then come like Showtime, and you don't really have to talk about that all that
Right.
much after the fact. This year, everybody has been talking about it since really the beginning of the year, and like hats off to them. But Sinners comes out at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
People go, that's really hard to get nominations, because by the time, award season comes around, usually they forget that movie existed. And this
Yeah.
year it breaks records, 16 nominations so far, the most nominated film ever. What do you think? Do you think deservedly so? Do you think we'll see how it goes as far as
Yeah.
wins?
Well, I'll just say Sinners was my second favorite movie of the year, and it was one of those experiences that I will never forget. Just hopping, or I saw it at the Phoenix Theater here in Cleveland, which is one of the only theater in town that has a Dolby Atmos equipped sound system, and also I think it has Dolby Vision as well. But it was one of those things when watching the film, I almost felt like I was like levitating out of my seat at times. There's a scene in the middle of the film, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, but there's one scene in particular that kind of goes over the history of, African American cultural influence on music. And that just really knocked my socks off. And even just some of the shots that lead up to those scenes that they're at the juke joint, just these wide vistas. And, it gives me goosebumps talking about it. Just some really impressive shots. So I was not really surprised that it did get, a lot of nominations. I am a little bit surprised that it got the most ever. And in some ways, I think the previous record is 14 nominations for Titanic, Ben-Hur, a few other things.
La La Land,
And
All About Eve.
yes, and even without this new casting category, they still would have broke the record because it would have at least 15. But of course, with this new category, it's 16. So yeah, really. I'm overjoyed for that movie. I don't really foresee it winning. I see it winning quite a few, but I don't think I see it winning Best Picture, honestly. But we'll see. I don't know. Like maybe this will, by getting so many nominations, maybe that will make voters like top at their list. If they haven't watched it, they will watch it, and maybe they can see this as an opportunity to, hey, we can finally give Best Picture to a film that was directed by or like a predominantly Black creative team.
Did you saw it at the Phoenix? Did you see, so was it a screener? Like you saw it early in its run?
I think I saw it opening day, and then I actually, and this is, my wife will laugh at this because sometimes I will take a couple hour drive to see a film like in a certain format. which I did for one battle after another. But I went down to Columbus when they were playing Sinners on 70 millimeter. So seeing it then, I was able to take my good friend Robert Banks, filmmaker from here. He like he's a film aficionado, so he will sometimes, if he knows that there's a film print out there, he will wait to see it so he can see it on a film print. So, and he loved it too. So yeah, I mean, it was that was like just a special trip, to go see that. For one battle, I went even further. I went to Indianapolis to see it on 70 IMAX, which, God, that was that was amazing. I mean, they have this 80-foot tall screen, and it was like almost like seeing just a big rectangle, but yeah. So all this is to say is like I'm so happy. Like both of these movies, I got the most nominations. I think they took really bold, creative swings. They're both from Warner Brothers, which is kind of cool. And Warner Brothers now is like on the cusp of being sold to Netflix, for better for worse. So maybe this is like if they do get sold, this is like a good way to go out for them before they get hopefully not gutted. You know.
I mean, you say for better or for worse. Like, could there be a better in this scenario?
I mean, I guess if they, if they do let it kind of flounder or like not flounder, but like if they do let it go on to take these risks, hey, maybe if Netflix has the capital to let them do that, that might be kind of cool. But I don't know. I foresee probably, do they walk the walk or talk the talk?
I mean, they are saying like they're going to give it 45-day release windows for anything that Warner Brothers produces. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
we shall
Um,
see.
so usually my gripe with the Oscars is the fact that not a whole lot gets nominated. There are
Sure.
24 categories. It looks like only about 23 films were nominated,
Mhm.
15 outside of the technical fields. You have Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One
Yeah.
Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Train Dreams, Blue Moon, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Song Song Blue, Weapons. It was just an accident. Have you seen all of these?
Pretty much. I know one of the films that has yet to hit Cleveland area, and most actually it hasn't really hit a ton of places yet, is Surat. It's a Spanish language film that did show up in quite a few categories, such a it got international feature, but it also showed up in sound.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen most, I would say, because I really kind of have this regimented schedule where I try to see as many things like on a weekend. But you're right. There is a point where there are so many films that were not even mentioned. I'm really surprised Wicked got a goose egg.
That's
None. Zilch.
that's the drama of the years that especially I would say for acting,
Yeah.
that for their last hurrah that Cynthia and Ariana did not get anything for best
Yeah.
actress or best supporting actress.
Yeah, I mean, even I was thinking it would show up in some of the below the line categories because it was, the Academy a few years ago started doing this thing where they would release the short lists, and I believe Wicked was on 8 of the short lists. So, theoretically you would think, okay, they at least are going to get like, I don't know, production design or costumes, and they won for both of those categories, production design and costumes last year. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know if maybe it's just, hey, let's spread the wealth, because it's essentially is part one, part two. It's like the same thing. I'd be curious to hear once, because sometimes they have these anonymous ballots or they have anonymous voters give
Hmm.
their grievances or not. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing at times. But I do think overall, like eclectically, the top 10 for Best Picture it's a really pretty solid like damn solid year. I know some people groaned at F1 getting nominated in Best Picture, but I mean, honestly, that was like probably for the older members of the Academy, like the old school
That makes
people
sense.
who remember these blockbusters when they were, you kind of can leave your head at the door and just watch a old, the old guard, try to hang with these younger racers. It's kind of Top Gun in a car, in some ways, but
Perfect way to pitch
same
it.
director.
To remind our audience, the best picture is Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Yeah,
And other than F1, I agree with you. I think 9 out of 10 of those I've heard somebody on the street say best picture I've seen this year.
yeah.
But not to get too far away from it, best costume design. You're right. Wicked did one last year, not nominated this year. There is a weird one, I think, that was nominated this year. Out of these, which one do you think I think is weird? Sinners, Marty Supreme, Hamnet, Frankenstein, or Avatar, Fire and Ash?
Fire and Ash for sure.
How there's no real costumes in it, is like for the most part. I mean, there are some scenes with real people, but for the most part, are we just saying like CGI costumes were cool?
Well, so as I was like driving today after work because I had a few things to go to, I listened to a couple different Oscar, podcast type things, and the one guy kind of made an argument for it. It's like, hey, even though it's mostly CGI, the costume still had to be designed on that character, and especially and I've seen Fire and Ash, but I forget what they're called. But like the fire people have, kind of interesting different costumes than what the Na'vi wear. So I guess, I mean, and then he kind of said, well, maybe they just really hated Wicked for good. But that the guy who won was actually from the Akron area, Paul Taswell.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my heart's with you, Paul. But hey, you still got one Oscar at least. But yeah, a very very interesting choice. Which made when I saw that, it made me wonder, like, oh, maybe Avatar is going to now show up in a couple other different ones, like production design or something like that. But it really didn't get much else, I think, beyond visual effects. So
No, and I've been listening to some interviews with James Cameron, and he was already feisty about like Way of Water. So I feel like he must be, pissing vinegar right now with
yeah,
on today because he was talking about, he's like, I'm putting a lot of work and I'm making gold here with these movies.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know about your opinion with Avatar. I'm realizing more and more that I got to be careful with what I say on this podcast because like I was just talking about an actor in one of these films in one of the best pictures to a friend the other day. I was like, I liked the whole movie. I liked it all except for this one person, and I just don't like him, and I haven't liked him for years. And they were telling me, well, if you knew them as a person, like you would really like they're my best friend. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Oh.
I gotta stop talking. But like Avatar, Fire and Ash. I thought was a great movie, except for like one
Yeah.
storyline that I was like, you could have just dropped that storyline. Like one whole storyline just needed to stay in the second movie and it would have been fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, arguably, you could say maybe Way of Water and Fire and Ash could have been maybe molded into one big film. But I mean, James Cameron knows how to stage these action set pieces like almost no one else can in the world. And so to that extent, it did entertain me, but I'm not really surprised it didn't like crack in the best picture race. It just seemed like we had, based on the other things that are nominated, there were just, I think, so many other really unique things this year. One of the films that I was happy to see crack the top 10, and I'm sorry if I'm like jumping all over
No
here,
worries. I'm here for you.
but like Train Dreams, I thought was just such a beautiful film. It was just kind of old fashioned type of yarn. And it was one of those films that I had heard about out of Sundance last year. And I saw that it was like playing at the Cedar Lee. So I had my wife watch the trailer because she had not heard of it. And we went and we bawled our eyes out at the end. There's this really beautiful scene, and it's not like overly flashy. It's not, to some people I could arguably see somebody saying maybe it's boring, but I was just so riveted and I love the way how it's shot. So I'm happy that that succeeded. Begonia is just one of those movies that's totally like weird. For some people, I'm sure it's going to be too, batshit, whatever. But once again, I mean, I was so riveted by the performances. I'm kind of sad that Jesse Plemons didn't make it in the best actor race. I really thought he was so unique in that film. And actually, even the young man who plays his brother, I thought was, and I know I think in real life is, on the autism spectrum, but he was like so good. And like he has to be in scenes, between Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, who are like acting their asses off. And, he holds his own in
Yeah.
this like really stoic way and quirky way. Like it's, man. So anyway, I think I might have said last year that I was pretty excited about the nominees, but like this year, I really feel like they're just stronger than last year's, I would say.
And I would say, so while we're talking about Begonia and that actor
Yeah.
who I don't have his name with me, but like that's best supporting actor. And we got Benicio del Toro, Jacob Elordi, Delroy Lindo, Sean Penn, Stellan Skarsgård. I wanted the boy from Hamnet in there.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
like, so
He
like
was so good.
if we're talking like this is the first year and we should talk about it, best casting is
Yeah.
something. And I think like, and this is a strong one. You have Sinners, you have The Secret Agent, you have One Battle After Another, you have Marty Supreme, and you have Hamnet. And if I'm going to make an argument for anything, it's going to be Nina Gold for Hamnet because she found that boy who I think is like, you don't know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Out of a child actor. And that child, I think, was mesmerizing in the film,
Yes.
nails his part. Like, like Timothy Chalamet, I think, and I was having a lunch meeting this morning with somebody. And we're talking about, obviously about the Oscar nominations. And
Yeah.
I was like, look, when it comes to Timothy Chalamet, I have tried for the longest time to hate him. I have looked for every reason to hate this man, and I have realized through all of this hatred or forced hatred that it's really me that I have to work on because the dude is talented. He hasn't misstepped in his private life. Like it's really me that I'm like, yeah, no, he is all that. He's only
Yeah.
30, and it's me that probably has a problem. So like you cast Timothy Chalamet, like you know what you're gonna get and everything like that. But like the boy at Hamnet, I'm like, nailed it. Give it to her. And so like I wanted him to get like a best supporting. Like I wanted that like he is the youngest actor ever to get a best supporting actor nod. And like you're saying with the actor from Begonia. So like Benicio del Toro, like yes, for me, I was like he was one of my favorite parts of One Battle After
Oh,
Another. And
yes.
that's when
Yes.
people are like, did you like One Battle After Another? I was like, see it even just for Benicio del Toro. And that like
Yes.
you'll be very much like that. I've been a huge Delroy Lindo fan since Congo, since Cider
That
House Rules.
I was so happy for Delroy Lindo because I did not see that coming. I thought it was like Paul Mescal,
Uh-huh.
or is it Mescal or Mescal, however you say it. But so
What's your Cleveland accent? We'll just blame that.
yeah,
Whether
Mescal. But no, Delroy, seeing him getting that because he has that scene in the car where he's telling this story that is like so riveting. And so anyway, I was really really happy about that. But I think you're right. I mean, I think his name is Jacob Jupe or something from Hamnet. He's the young, and his actual brother plays the
yeah.
which brilliant. I mean, that you're right. I mean, that is like it's really good casting. And yeah, I mean, and that's an interesting category. I kind of feel like they're going to go with Sinners in that one. It's well deserved, and because like I've never seen Wumi Masaku before. I've never seen the young woman who takes after Miles Caton's character. The preacher boy.
Hmm.
And even Miles Caton is a find, and so yeah, I mean that's a really stacked category, and we have no previous precedent on what the Academy goes for. So you could say like the old Academy, I think they would have ate up Hamnet for that, but the newer, much more kind of youthful Academy, I think like Sinners might be like too much to ignore for that category. But
What I do like about the
yeah,
category is that they did have an interview process. Like you had to
yes,
go in and tell the Academy what exactly you did for because casting is like almost an all hands on deck
yeah,
part of like the film process. And you know better than a lot of people, like when casting, like you have to get schedules together, you have to get,
yes,
price points together, you have to get who can work on these days and, like in these cities and who can work with these kind of people. And it's this whole thing. So the casting director has to prove the fact that they did the job. Like they were
yeah,
like the point person. And it wasn't just five producers pulling favors here and there to
yeah.
bring in all their buddies. So these people, Nina Gold, Jennifer Venditti, Cassandra Kundis, Gabriel Dominguez, and Francie Maisler were hella good at their jobs.
Yes. Have you got to see Secret Agent?
I'm not yet. No.
Oh, okay. That movie is it has some really unique casting because there's even a part where, well, most of the people who are in it are, Portuguese, Brazilian actors. There's a part where they have a German, or they keep referring to this German who's in town, and it's Udo Kier in his last build role. So I think that was like a really interesting, and they got this older Brazilian actress who apparently is like very famous in Brazil, but she plays this character named Dona Bastiana, and she's kind of like she's almost like the Benicio del Toro, how he is in the movie, where he's kind of like harboring all these people. Dona Bastiana is harboring all these people, kind of like hiding them from the Brazilian regime that basically was kind of like a dictator, or it was a dictatorship, and it's like Secret Agent is one of those films that like going into it, this Best Picture race, I was thinking that it was just an accident, which won the Palme d'Or at the at Cannes Film Festival. And also there's this narrative that the filmmaker is facing prison for a year or so after the Oscar season. So I thought maybe they would really fall for that movie, but was pleasantly surprised that they've kind of embraced Secret Agent. It is a kind of an old school, slow burn movie, and it's almost like the title of that film is slightly misleading because you almost think it's like a spy movie,
Right.
but it's not. So I can't wait till you see it because I think it'll probably start to expand out more because now it's nominated. But it's a long film. It's about 2 hours and 40-ish minutes. But it's a really, really strong one as well.
Well, even the stills they release is, a man on a payphone. So that doesn't help its
Yes.
image of like not being a secret agent.
Yeah, yeah. No, there was probably some clever. I'll have to look up some interviews with the director, so like why they chose to pose it like that. But there is this. It does open on this very very tension filled scene at a gas station. That's all I'm gonna say because I've already said too much, I think.
Okay. Real quick, just to get out of the way, best visual effects, Avatar.
Yeah, I would say so.
Surprise Jurassic World is on there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I that was not my my favorite in the franchise, but from what I've heard, the director of the film, Gareth Edwards, who is a visual effects maestro before he started directing movies. So there is some sentiment that he is very popular in that in the circles of the visual effects. So that's why that movie showed up. Yeah, I mean that movie was watchable. But there was a really cool scene in the end where it's kind of all shot in this like redscape, which I liked. But yeah, I saw it at the drive-in, so I got to nap a little bit.
I saw it at the Phoenix on my
Okay,
birthday.
okay,
I
that's
rented
cool.
out a whole row,
Nice.
and my friends were not nice afterwards. They're like, "Happy birthday, we're leaving." One of the strongest categories, because like even the people. So the way that you responded to Train Dreams, I responded to
Oh yeah.
Hamnet. I recommend Hamnet to a bunch of people and they go, I didn't really like it, and I was like, well, how did you watch it? And they're like, at home in my living room. And I was like, so I watched it
Mm.
in a theater surrounded by crying people. And I was like, and so
Yep.
like, it was like a scene in Fight Club. Like we all just went to a room to cry in together, like it was a cathartic moment for all of us. But the one thing everybody that I recommend it to, whether they liked the movie or not, but it was beautiful. And so Hamnet not getting cinematography, I was like, bullshit. But then you look at cinematography and you're like, it's Frankenstein, it's Marty Supreme, it's One Battle After Another, it's Sinner, it's Train Dreams. I'm like, that's got to be one of the strongest categories going into
Oh,
this
oh
night.
my gosh, yes. No, you're right. Hamnet is, well, I just want to first say there is leading up to Hamnet, somebody that I really trust, and actually I'm on the board for the Nightlight Cinema, full disclosure. But so Jen Kidd, who is the executive director of the Nightlight, told me that it was her favorite movie and that I should be prepared to have tissues for Hamnet. So I think going into it, when I went to see it I got to see it at a slightly early screening. My wife couldn't join me, and I was in a row of like older women, we'll just say, and they are like sniffling this whole thing, like audibly crying. I was resistant until, and I'm sure you know exactly what moment in, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it, but there's a scene where there's a performance, and we'll just say hands are raised and tears came down my face. So it got me. But Chloe Zhao is just, she's the perfect director for that movie because of
Mm,
how kind of like earthy a lot of her movies are, like kind of like Nomadland was a very like lyrical type of movie, and this one was too. And the cinematography was so beautiful at times. Like there's those scenes early in the film in the forest, and, where she's just kind of laying there at the roots of these trees, and it's like gorgeous. And in the sound, you hear like just like the whistling of the leaves and everything. It's a really well crafted movie. But yeah, that is unfortunately a miss for that, for cinematography, because I believe that same cinematographer shot a couple Polish films that I love. One of them is called Cold War, and then also did one called Ida, which is both by the same director. Cold War is such a beautifully shot black and white film, but yeah, that it's a really tough category to call. I will say the Sinners DP is a woman, and I want to say there still has yet to be a woman to win this award. That would be pretty badass if it was for
mm,
Sinners. I love the way how One Battle was shot, especially the race, or like
right.
the car chase. But man, yeah, and Marty Supreme, God, that movie looks freaking awesome too. And almost all the cinematography nominees were shot on film, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. Marty Supreme surprised because I don't know what I was thinking. My power went out as it like this winter is the winter from hell in
Oh
Cleveland.
yeah, yeah,
And
not good.
so they were like, your power won't be on for 9 hours. And I was like, well, I should go see a movie. And so then I contacted a friend and I was like, what should I see? He's like, Marty Supreme. I was like, the ping pong movie? And he was like, it's Safdie Brothers. I was like, I know, but it's a ping pong movie with Timothy Chalamet. I hate him. And so then I went and I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is amazing. But shot like the way, and that's up for casting, right? Yeah. The way Mr. Wonderful in that movie. Tyler, the
Oh yeah.
Creator, is in that. Like
Yes.
the casting for that movie and how they found all these people to just nail their parts when they're not necessarily classic actors, right?
Right.
And it like you're bumped for a moment. You're like, wait, is that? And then you're immediately back into it because their parts are just wonderfully suited for them.
Yes.
Was amazing for
The
Marty Supreme.
the guy who owns the dog, that is the director Abel Ferrara. So like he's not really known to be an actor, but you know, he obviously has made a lot of great films, and so it was really cool to see him. I love the guy who plays his friend, you know, the big guy who helps him like develop the orange ball. You know, I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, that movie's like all the small parts in that movie, it just adds up. And Odessa Ozion is, even though she missed today as supporting actress, but she's a hell of a find. And I know she is a nepo baby. Like her mom is Pamela Eldon. But boy, I can't wait to see what she does next, because she, like, whenever she was on screen, and now like anytime I like open up, for some reason, every time I open up Twitter, it's like there's just all these like many posts like dedicated to her. So like people either got the hots for her, or there's just something about her that like she's got that it factor, it seems.
But she would be best supporting actress. So let's wheel over to there. There's Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Inga Ibsdatter Lilias. Am I pronouncing that right for Sentimental Value?
I think, yeah, I think you're spot on a little, yeah, for the most part.
Crazy left field. Amy Madigan for Weapons.
Yeah.
Wunmi Musaka for Sinners, and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. Who do you think?
I'm thinking Tiana Taylor will take it, because I think there's a lot of momentum in One Battle's favor. I was really excited to see both the Sentimental Value gals get in, because they did not get, actually Sentimental Value was completely shut out from the SAG Awards, and they basically, the reasoning I've heard is that SAG tends to go for American films, even though Sentimental Value does have a pretty decent amount of English in the film. It is, you know, it's a Norwegian production. But yeah, that's why I would, Tiana Taylor, in her short amount of time on screen, especially in that opening like 40 minutes or so. I mean, it's like your eyes can't go off her. But you know, honestly, Wumi Musaku, her arc in that film is very strong. So yeah, I mean, it's so tough to call, because I could easily see a scenario where each of them wins, even Amy Madigan with her creepy Aunt Gladys there.
Just a special shout out for Elle Fanning. I think one of the most fun times I had in the theater this year was Predator Badlands.
Hmm.
I don't, like I was pleasantly surprised by that movie and seeing it
Yeah.
at the Phoenix, in the Dolby atmosphere and everything, and just being blown away by that. And she was, the English speaker in that movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is, I think, a culmination of her just doing really solid work throughout the whole, her career. And she's still young. I mean, maybe only 30-ish, so it's pretty incredible. I'm sure she will be here again. I don't think she will win for this movie, but she really has a great, great couple sequences in this movie, especially with Stellan Skarsgård in the film. And there's one film in particular one moment in the film where she's with both sisters, one played by Renata Reinsve, and then the other one, the very Norwegian name. That movie really resonated with me. I mean, that was, I think, if I were ranking everything, that was like my number 3 or 4 of this past year. There was something about it. I really loved the director's previous movie, Worst Person in the World, and
Hmm.
like in another year, like I would love to see that one sweep everything. But I have a feeling it's not going to probably have the best night on Oscar night.
Yeah, and this back in the day, there was a co-host to A Take on the Academy, and we went through. Well, we thought was like all the film festivals of like what was the best film of that year. And that was the year
Yeah.
that Coda won the Academy Awards.
Oh
And I was
yeah.
like, it was the worst person in the world for me was probably,
That was
I
such a
thought,
great movie.
mhm.
Yeah, it's
Um,
insanely rewatchable. Renata Reinsve probably should have been nominated for that movie, and I don't think she was. But maybe just because nobody really, she was still relatively new. But she just has a look every time like she's on screen, like you can't take your eyes off her because like she's just so good.
well, she's nominated again this year, along with Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson for A Song Sung Blue, and Emma Stone again for
Hmm.
Bugonia. I think it's Jessie Buckley's running away with it this year.
Oh yeah, yeah, I no question about it. She gives her heart and soul to that movie. Heartbreaking. I mean, even that's like the birthing scene I mean, it's like, ooh, it's hard to watch, but boy, she really gives it her all. And just the way how she is at the end is just it's like chef's kiss.
And I think, like, and I think she does also, like, Chloe does her favors by not cutting away, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
Chloe's slow camera in that film just lets us live there with Jessie Buckley, which I
yeah.
loved about Hamnet. Like, I was like, there is no cutting away. There is no hiding from. That's why Paul Mescal not being nominated, I was like, like, there's only five, right? There's only
Yeah,
five spots.
yeah.
But I mean, that man could have been nominated. Like, I would not have been mad.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But while we're there, Best Actor, we got Timothy Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent.
Killer's row of almost like a generational type of lineup
Hmm.
for best actor here. I'm gonna say I think Chalamet has it, or
Ooh.
at least he has the. I think he has the momentum. I would, personally though, boy, I would love. I mean, DiCaprio really like won me over, and I mean, he's always like great, but maybe it's too close to his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood character. But I would love to see Ethan Hawke take it.
I haven't
He's
seen
that.
Blue Moon yet, but I do like
Oh,
Ethan Hawke.
Blue Moon is so good. It's heartbreaking, it's funny, it's charming. You'll see when you see it. There's just something, all right, without giving a lot away, but there are probably certain people that we probably know in this kind of creative field who maybe at one point were probably considered like a prodigy or, ahead of their curve, and then time catches up to them and they didn't maybe live up to that potential. And that's something that his character is kind of facing as he watches one of his contemporaries like jump leaps ahead of him. And that is, it makes it like, to me, is like what I wrote in my letterbox when I saw it was like, it's a profoundly sad movie, but it does have these moments of dialogue that really pop, especially him and Margaret Qualley's scenes together, and then scenes that he has with his former creative partner, and then also one of like the unsung heroes, I think, of movies whenever he's in one. Bobby Cannavale plays the bartender of Sardi's and is kind of like Ethan Hawke's buddy, as so anyway, I can't speak highly enough of that movie. It only takes place in like one setting, and Richard Linklater is like one of those filmmakers who has mastered the art of like being able to like make a hangout movie still entertaining in one location, without being bored.
Right, right. Very nice. Oh, check. But do you think in the world of campaigning
Yeah.
that he can campaign over DiCaprio and Chalamet for Best
Ooh.
Actor?
Yeah, I mean, the way how Chalamet's been able to, like, the way how all the marketing for Marty Supreme and that Schwab stuff or whatever,
Yeah, because I
Um,
mean, he's convincing. I have people sending me videos and being like, "Fuck this guy," and I'm like, "No, this. He's doing a character, like
yes. Well, it's like when he's been winning at these various things like the Critics' Choice and stuff, it seems like he's scaled it back a little bit now, like where he seems very humble. But last year when he won the SAG Award for Complete Unknown, where he was just like, I'm in the pursuit of greatness and all this stuff. And it's like, I mean, I think to some people that might turn off some people. And I don't know if like from what I've heard, like DiCaprio has been kind of playing some of the games. Sometimes he doesn't really like to be overly campaigny. Like definitely like Sean Penn has not been doing any campaigning. He just sits back and smokes, um, but but yeah, it's you're right. And I don't know, like I haven't heard much of like how Michael B. Jordan, because I'm sure in a room he's probably charming as hell. And Wagner Moore, I'm not sure what his how much he's here or not, or if he's just in Brazil or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, really tough category, and I'm glad that we have our best actors in there.
for whatever reason, I feel like Wagner Moura is like, it's just humble, like I feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it seems like it.
right, like I feel like campaigning for an award is kind of like an American thing.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we're kind of like going through like the big ones. We can flash over some of these. Best makeup and hairstyling. You have Frankenstein, Kokua, Sinners, The Smashing Machine, and The Ugly Stepsister.
Mm.
I feel like as far as like a campaign process, probably this is going to be a Frankenstein, a Guillermo
Yeah,
pick.
yeah, either Frankenstein or Sinners, I would say, because it's like they're both up for Best Picture. I will say the makeup in Smashing Machine is pretty amazing. Like The Rock at times was like unrecognizable in it. And as a wrestling fan, I'm going to say RIP to the Rock campaign for Best Actor. But it just didn't seem like people connected as much to that movie than say his the Safdie's other film.
Mhm.
So I wonder what that house is like today, or like I'm sure they live in separate houses, of course, but like I just have this imaginary thing where like they're at a dinner table, like hey, my movie got 9 nominations, your movie got one.
Do you think which house do you think is having more fun? Do you think it's the Coen brothers or the Safdie brothers?
Well, that's a great question. I don't. Sometimes, I mean, Frances McDormand seemed like she would be fun, because she's married to Joel Cohen. But Ethan Cohen, of course, and his wife, they make those, these like wacky lesbian rom-coms. So,
I know.
who knows? Maybe they.
I feel like the Safdies, they separated and at least got nominated this year.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, best adapted screenplay. You got Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dream.
yeah. I think this one's PTA's. I
You
think.
think it's PTA's?
Yeah, yeah,
Frankenstein
yeah.
gets a lot of love though because
You're right. You're right.
it stays true to the source material much more than anybody
Other in the past.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the one thing is like this is with all the nominations that it got today, this is now, I think I read that it's PTA has 14 nominations. So my guess is like he will win adapted. I feel like this is a definite way to recognize him, say if the Academy doesn't decide to embrace one battle.
Okay.
Sorry.
Best original screenplay, you got Blue Moon. It was just an accident. Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, Sinners.
Mhm.
Now,
Great, great category.
great category. You have in theory, the Academy doesn't know who's going to be awarded for what, right?
Yeah.
But like in the back of your mind, you kind of go, they have to be like, well, we have to award this film something, so let's go here. And this is, I think, the only place that it was just an accident is nominated.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a great question, or
and
that's a great point.
so
Yeah.
it's like one of those things like, is this where they give it to it was just an accident, or is the nom enough? And this goes toward, because I would suspect Sinners.
That's where my mind is going, definitely. But you're right, though, because there were quite a few people who expected that Jafar Panahi would have gotten a Best Director nomination for It Was Just an Accident. But yeah, you're right. That is a good point. I was expecting it to maybe show up in the director because it is such a it's a movie of tension. It's like almost like, an hour and 45 minutes of just tension. It doesn't
Hmm.
really let up that much, but I think it is smartly written as well. Yeah, you're right, man. You're making me double think here. Yeah, and I like it.
But in the same instance, they're not supposed to know, right? Like
Exactly.
supposed
Yeah,
to just go with their heart. And I
right.
feel like they don't know because that was it all goes back in my mind. It all goes back to them saving Best Actor for the end of the show for Chadwick Boseman and going to Anthony Hopkins for the
Oh
father.
yeah. Oh God. Man,
They thought they knew,
my
but they
heart
didn't know.
sank for that. Oh, yeah, that was because like it ended on that category, didn't it?
Yep,
Wow.
thinking it
Yeah,
was going to
that's
be this
messed up.
big thing. And then poor Anthony Hopkins because they're like, all right, that's it, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like just live via satellite. He's like, yeah, somebody should write a book about that.
Best original song. I really think it should go to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the only thing that ever made anybody's playlist.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like Diane Warren now has been nominated every like all these years for like movies that theoretically not that many people have seen, but
Mhm.
she has a lot of friends in the that branch. I do like the song from Sinners,
I lied to you.
which I think is really great. But you're right. I think the K-pop Demon Hunters is it's undeniable, and for score, then maybe that's the way to acknowledge the music as Sinners, because it's so unique.
Hmm. So that takes care of score. And then
Yeah.
sound is F1, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Surratt.
I have not seen Surratt. I've heard like it's very sound oriented. But F1, all the zoomings of the cars and stuff like that is cool. But I was really impressed with the one battle sound, especially in that opening sequence. Like, and that's where like, and I hate to like jump ahead to like editing but there's like the thing with one battle is like, okay, it's a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, but it feels like less than that.
Mm.
And there's this sequence in which, at the beginning, where it's like perfectly timed to these bombs that are, and like the sound is like incredible, depending on like which, if you saw it like at Phoenix in the Dolby Atmos, it was awesome. And then when saw it in the IMAX, it was like amazing. So, but I think most people are going to be watching this stuff at home. It seems like for the Academy. Not, or I don't want to like degrade that, but yeah,
You can
I'm
degrade
gonna
that.
say
Don't
they
watch
would
movies
maybe
at
pick
home.
F1. Yeah.
Stop watching movies at home. I do think sound F1. I will say, I think James Cameron got fucked here. I think Avatar
Mhm,
had
mhm.
some good, and really, it's all made up sound. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's so constant. It's like, the fact that he makes these movies like, 3 hours plus. And you're right, everything, gosh, like all the stuff, all the sounds that like dealing with the whales and all that. I
and the
mean,
water and the fire and
yep.
like it's all fake. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like I was surprised because there
You're right.
was,
He's probably somewhere like
oh, he
pissed
is,
today.
oh my gosh. That man is, but he didn't do himself any favors. So he did like an interview where he's like, I'm kind of tired of making these. And I was like, you're not, I don't want to go see it now.
Yeah.
So production design, we kind of like beat around it. Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners.
It's another really stacked category because I love the way how the theater is designed for Hamnet. The juke joint is like perfectly designed for Sinners. One battle, I was kind of like that's kind of cool because contemporary movies a lot of times get looked over. So like the Christmas Adventure Club, like when you go into
Right.
their lair, it's kind of interesting. The cabin that they live in Backton Cross is cool. The way how they kind of like basically put together a what looks like I'm sure is at the border of like Mexico or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but probably Frankenstein is too. I mean, it's so elaborate. The way how they put things together and those
There's
sets are
lab.
pretty cool. Even though I'm curious, like how much was maybe CGI or not, but it's hard to tell. So, but then again, Avatar's won this category before, which is mostly CGI. But a lot of thought had to go into the design. So,
I will agree. I think Frankenstein, but there was Frankenstein made me, it almost kind of made me angry how I could tell when they weren't in some of these locations,
sure.
and I was like, oh, I feel like we're getting lazy again. Like we're going back to like the 1920s when we couldn't leave the studios, and like we couldn't
Yeah.
move the cameras around. Like we're going back into the studio mode. It's like, let's go
Yeah.
back to locations, guys, and like like I almost was like, oh, I can't wait till Ocean's 14 comes out because I know George Clooney is going to go to Italy and like I
Yeah.
could be in Italy again.
Well, and this, and I know there's all different factors into what goes into this, but Frankenstein is one of those movies that I wish it was shot on film as opposed to digital, because I think if it was shot with film, it really would have like elevated the cinematography and the production design because of like if it would had like vintage look to it. But that, of course, is a creative decision that I would not, have the. But and that's why I think it's like with Sinners and Marty Supreme and stuff like that, shoot and One Battle, like shooting on film and also most of them shooting on like 65 millimeter film, gives it this texture and look that that makes it timeless in a lot of ways.
That's a good point. Good point. Have you seen any of the shorts?
I have seen at least one of them. It's called The Singers, which is it's a really fun film. It played at the film festival. The Jane Austen also played at the film festival, and I don't think I think I might have saw it, but I might have missed it. But I've heard from many people that it's very funny, and usually I love going to the theater when they put the shorts.
Right.
When you're able to watch them. And, usually the live action shorts are not humorous for some reason. They're always usually have, some depressing, there's like, I think last year's, like most of them was like three of them had like child abuse. Usually one is set in World War II, which is not always pleasant. Uh, but like, at least I know the Singers, I'm looking forward to see that again because there's really like not necessarily a plot to that movie, I will say. But it's just one of those things, like it's super well shot, the music is cool, and it's funny.
Well, one's called Two People Exchanging Saliva. So that sounds.
I'm sure that one's funny too, which and like the animated ones usually are, mostly humorous, but last year's there was a couple really sad ones, but the documentaries are usually pretty hard hitting, but there's at least one of them that sounds like it's about artists, so that's kind of cool. Like that's gonna shake it up because the ones that tend to get nominated for the short doc are at least 40-ish minutes usually, and they're usually very depressing. We're about worldly events usually, where I like docs about like, pop culture and stuff like that. And so I think in the eyes of the Academy, I would probably not be nominated in that category because they're like, oh, you don't care about world events.
So, in my feeling, that I think the way that the Academy should be kind of like structured as an evening is that the films one, two, three, four should be like the final bit of the evening.
Oh,
Animated,
sure.
international, documentary, best film of the
Oh, yeah,
evenings.
that's a great idea.
So here we're at best director before we get to those four. We got
Mhm.
Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Josh Shafty for Marty Supreme, Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Joaquin Trier for Sentimental Value, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. I feel like you're thinking it's Paul Thomas Anderson's year.
That's what I'm thinking, but I would not be surprised if Coogler won. Just because of the ambition, the scope of the film, that sequence in the middle that I'm, when the real ones know, or like if you've seen it, you know it. But there's something about Paul Thomas Anderson consistently making these like films that like nobody else makes. And it's like sometimes I'm just watching like even Phantom Thread, it's like I just watched that movie. It's just like on paper that should not work, but it does,
Right.
just because it's out there, it's weird, but but it's made with such precision and care and flawed characters, but lovable characters in a lot of ways.
I do think he is our most consistently above the line. Like I hesitate to call anybody great, because greatness is a level that's like not only difficult to achieve, but difficult to maintain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But like Paul Thomas Anderson to me is like he's undeniable. Like
Hmm.
everything that he puts out, it never seems it's not rushed. It's
Yeah,
exactly what he wants it to be, and you can't say that it's not great.
yeah,
So that's what I think. Like, I think Paul Thomas Anderson is like the director that we could put on a pedestal as like American filmmakers and say like this is our guy that like if you want to put anybody against him as far as like American filmmakers go, like good luck challenging our guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think I hate to sometimes to say like it's his time or he's overdue, but this time I really think he's worthy of it. Like it's because like sometimes like Scorsese won for Departed, which is an awesome movie, but should he have probably won for like Raging Bull or something like that?
Right.
But this is one, I think this is like in a lot of ways a culmination of all the movies he's made before and like bits and elements of like all the different things that he's done to like this is like his crowning achievement to this point. And I still feel like he's got another masterpiece in him or two.
Yeah, because There Will Be Blood. He probably deserved it for There Will Be Blood over the Coen brothers for No Country for Old Men that year,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say.
No, it's that's like I mean those two it's kind of like in some ways you can compare that year There Will Be Blood No Country to like One Battle Sinners, like where it's like a flip of a coin on any day, either or I would be happy with whoever won. I would love at some point, and maybe they won't probably do this like in our lifetime, but maybe they will release the numbers, what the votes were like. Was it razor thin or was it overwhelming to one or the other? But I have a feeling maybe that year it could have been a split where like best director to the Coens and best picture There Will Be Blood and vice versa,
Yeah, yeah.
that it could have been super close, but we may never know.
We may never know. All right, so now the top films of the year, Best International. There are two of these in the Best Picture race. Those are The Secret Agent and Sentimental Value. And then there's It Was Just an Accident, which we talked about, Surat, which we talked about. And then the one that we haven't is The Voice of Hin Rajab.
Yeah.
Which one do you think it's going to? I would say probably Sentimental Value.
I think there is a really good case for that because of their overall nominations. It seems like a lot of people do really like Secret Agent as well. I haven't seen because both Surat and Hinra Job have not played yet, but they are both scheduled to play in February at the Cinematheque locally, uh, and the Nightlight. I think they're both getting those, so I will hopefully get to enjoy those movies before the show. But just a stacked category in there. I don't know. The only one that I kind of and I haven't got to see it yet, but the only one that I really was kind of surprised I didn't get into was No Other Choice, which is the Park Chan-wook movie from
Mhm.
South Korea. That movie was completely blanked, and I heard it's quite good, and I'm hoping to see it tomorrow, actually.
I'm still here. What country was that? Was that Brazil?
Yes,
So
from
that
last year.
won last year, if that does anything with the voting this year. Would they
Yeah,
have Brazil win twice in a row?
They could. In Brazil has like from what I've heard, they have a pretty strong contingent in the international body of the Academy.
Oh, good to know. Best animated feature film. There is Arco, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie, or the character of Rain, or Zootopia 2.
This is one I have not seen any of them. And I still have to watch K-pop, but it seems like the momentum is in K-pop's favor. I did just see the trailer for Arco when seeing a movie at the Nightlight recently, and Arco looks gorgeous. Like very colorful and seems hand drawn, which I know is rare. But yeah, you would have to think either K-pop or even Zootopia because it's did so well box office wise.
And I would say it's K-pop's to lose, but and
Yeah,
Zootopia just came out more
true.
recent, and so I feel like that's kind of like in everybody's. They probably saw it with their kids more
Yeah,
recently
yeah,
than K-pop. Maybe they're
yeah,
over K-pop and their kids playing it in the car a little
for
bit
sure,
more.
for sure.
And then finally, before Best Picture, we have Best Documentary Feature Film. Not too many pleasant watches in this
Dude.
one for you, Mike Wendt. The Alabama Solution, Come See Me in the Good Light, Cutting Through Rocks, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and The Perfect Neighbor. I will say,
Um,
though, I think Best Documentary for anybody out there listening, Best Documentary Feature, I think, gets kind of swept under the rug as far as like the Academy Awards goes. These
yeah,
are very important movies to watch, I think, especially in this day and age where there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of bullshit on the internet, and like things that you're getting in your feed. Best documentary features have to go through a lot of fact checking and everything before they even get to your airwaves, and especially if they're going to be nominated for Academy Awards. These are
yeah.
five of the best that you can actually go out and watch, and a lot like two of them I know, The Perfect Neighbor and The Alabama Solution, are currently available on streaming services.
Yeah,
Alabama Solutions on HBO, The Perfect Neighbors on Netflix.
Netflix.
Check them out. You're gonna
Yeah,
expand your mind and your horizon a little bit.
Come See Me in the Good Lights on Apple, and that won the audience choice for the Cleveland Film Festival this past year. But I feel like as somebody who dabbles a lot in documentary, I feel like a bad patron of documentaries because I haven't seen any of them. But now I'm looking forward to catching up with them. But I really have heard so many great things about Perfect Neighbor. Obviously, I've heard great things about Come See Me in the Good Light, Alabama Solution. Now knowing that it's on HBO. I will definitely check that out. But I know there was one that I've heard a lot of people talking about, and it's a Russian film called like My Friend or My Despicable Friends or something like that. It's like a 5 hour documentary.
Yes.
And
There's only what part one's the only one that's out, I think, right now.
yes,
Part two is
yes,
still being worked on.
yeah. And I heard a couple friends of mine saw it at the when it played at the Cinematheque, and like they just said it was amazing. It is long, but it doesn't feel long. But I don't know if like maybe was the length too intimidating for people to to go see it or press play on the portal or whatever. But yeah, I would have to say I've heard most about Perfect Neighbor. But I have heard, I know you have friends that worked on something, so I don't want to say anything
No,
disparaging.
Perfect Neighbor,
But
I can tell you the editing is fantastic.
that's what I've heard. That's what I've
Good,
heard
good.
that. Yes. And actually, there were some people predicting that it might show up in the editing category for the Oscars. So anyway, I will rectify this before March 15th.
Nice. So, and then we get to Best Picture, which is Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, Train Dreams. And if you have listened to the entire show, you know that at least 9 out of 10 of these, we say this is going to be a good show, that the
Mhm.
Oscars have done their homework, at least with the Best Picture. And it is usually, I would say with the Oscars, you could kind of like eliminate like four and be like, they expanded it to 10, but really like some
Yeah.
of these don't have a shot. I would say, really, if you watch all 10 of these, you're not going to waste your night.
No,
These
no.
are 10 good watches. Even
Yeah.
F1, like you said, it's like Top
It's a
Gun
blast.
for cars.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super fun and it's old school. But yeah, I mean, I think it ultimately comes down to Sinners and One Battle. There is sometimes I know they say because One Battle has been kind of winning all these precursors, and there's sometimes like I've heard that they say that there is like a front runner fall. Or like at least it has like overexposure or overkill. So who knows? Maybe that does play into Sinner's favor. But yeah, I mean, I'll be kind of waiting on pins and needles to see how that category goes on Oscar night. Yeah.
I'd almost say it happened last year when Anora won over The Brutalist.
Yes. Yes. Because I think I remember talking about it I mean, when I talked about it with you, it seemed like, yeah, a lot of momentum was going the Brutalist way, and then it started losing in the major categories. But then Adrian Brody won, and I was like, oh, all right, maybe,
And then he gave a speech as long as The Brutalist, and we all needed
yeah.
an intermission.
And then they changed the ballot. They were like, no, let's
Don't let him on the stage again.
yeah. I do sometimes feel like there's some of that goes on. I always have these like scenarios in my head that it's like sometimes people see and they actually read the wrong name on purpose.
Like Warren Beatty and
Oh yeah. That
I still feel bad for Warren Beatty because he knew, and he just like was standing there like
yeah.
Just not what I bet. Well, Mike, thank you. I mean, we have a winter storm bearing down on us. I know that you had to rush home from work to get on the horn with me today. Do you have anything to plug before I let you go?
Yeah, I would just say, clevelandfilm.com. We have a documentary workshop coming up on February. Actually, we're showing a documentary February the 6th, I want to say. It's a very interesting film. It's going to be at Karamu House, and it's free for people. And then also the next day, February the 7th, I'm going to be leading a documentary workshop with the director of the film. Real quick, it's a very cool film about this man who was a stellar athlete in Elyria High School. I think he scored more touchdowns than any player, and they've been trying to get him in this athletic hall of fame. But there were some, his brother was brutally murdered, and then he ended up in this altercation that, he got several blows to the head that now have kind of like affected his cognitive abilities. So there is kind of this resistance to acknowledge him as this stellar athlete because of the mystery kind of surrounding his brother's murder. So it's a really unique film, and I can't wait to do the workshop because the way how she kind of unveils things in this documentary, where like you might want to start it with this like gotcha moment to like expose all this like stuff, but it slowly reveals it over time through different people, and it's really fascinating. So it's free, absolutely free. Like if you go to clevelandfilm.com, you can see that. And then you can follow me on Instagram. I'm always trying to promote as many things that are playing around town because a lot of our publications around here have kind of stopped mentioning what movies are playing. So that's kind of why I do that. And then you can follow me like on Letterboxd. I'm ENDMIKE. You can see all the stuff I'm watching, and you can either like or disagree with my reviews. So,
and if you want to film in Cleveland, contact Mike.
Absolutely. I'll help you.
And that's going to wrap up our Oscar nomination day breakdown. Huge thanks to Cleveland's own Mike Wendt for joining me and giving us that on the ground, boots in the snow perspective of someone who actually helps make movies happen. It's easy to argue nominations from afar. It's a whole different thing hearing from someone who's lived the logistical chaos behind the camera. As always, the Oscars give us plenty to celebrate, plenty to question, and plenty to lovingly yell about. And that's why we're here. I'm Matt Sprosty. This is A Take on the Academy. And we'll be back right after March 15th with Rudy to dive deeper into the night to talk about the glitz, the glam, the awards, and maybe even some of the surprises. Until then, keep watching, keep debating, and keep caring, because the Oscars are better when we actually hold them accountable.
Awesome.